What is up, everybody? We are back again with another interesting video today. As you can see, you can tell by the thumbnail, it is the end of the Final Four for men's college basketball tournament for the March Madness. March Madness is coming to an end. We will see out of the championship between women's college and men's college. We'll see who will be the last team standing. And as of right now, we're gonna turn our tables to men's college ball for right now because it's about to become real interesting at this point. We all saw Auburn versus Florida and Houston versus Duke. Four great teams had a really awesome game, but there were some upsets. There were some upsets going on, so we'll get into that shortly. But my other co-host will be here sooner than later. He'll be here in a few minutes. I just sent him links to be on here. But for right now, me and CP will be discussing the college ball, and then my co-host, he said he got something that he wants to add to the show. So we'll talk about that later on. But as of right now, we'll talk about college right now. So, but with all being said, this is the Basketball Truth for Knowledge. I'm your co-host Aramis, and then my boy CP. My boy CP in the building. Let's get right into it. Let's cut this music off and let's get right into it. All right. My boy CP, man, how you been, bro? How you been?
Man, I've been good, man. Been watching these games, man. Exciting college basketball, March Madness.
Yes, sir. So, really interesting matter to this whole situation that's happening in March Madness, and I want the fans to really understand that I took time away from speaking on the NBA because this is March Madness right now. So we're trying to make some time, to squeeze in college talks between men and women, and then we'll make some time for the NBA and WNBA, and then we'll do some Olympics, conversations for every 4 years for when the Olympics starts up again. So we'll be doing worldwide basketball on the channel with my co-host. Any guests that want to come on the show, you can come out here and speak. We added CP to the channel, so he's glad to be on here. But the moral question to this is the upset with Duke and Houston. We know Houston has that defense. We know Duke got that offense, and we yet to talk about this last Sunday, where we made a prediction that Houston may win this game because of how phenomenal their defense is. And I talked to my dad's pastor because he coaches. He's a coach of basketball too, and he plays sports. So I asked him, like, what do you think about Duke and Houston? He said, man, I think Houston got that 100%. I said, you sure about that? And he's like, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, Duke got height, but Houston got that defense, man. Houston got defense, and it when I watched it from the first quarter to the second quarter, I can see it. I see Duke took advantage of that height. But once Houston, like really saw their mistakes and saw what they needed to do to seal the deal, they definitely handled business. But I gotta put the blame on Duke because they choked at the last minute, man. They that foul at the end on Cooper Kupp at the free throw line at the last minute of the game. Gave him 2 free throw shots. I don't think that was necessary. I don't think that was necessary for that to even happen. So, what are your thoughts on the Duke and Houston game?
Man, just an incredible game. Flat out incredible game. It was like a rock fight, slow grind. We knew that coming in, and it was going to be a slow, hard-fought game. And like we discussed, I believe last week, that Houston defense, man. After watching that game last night, I was just, man, the grit that they showed to come back in that game. Because watching the game, I thought it was over at one point. I mean, at a couple of points, I thought it was over. And then as it kept going and as it got closer and as it got down to 6, I thought it was over. Then
Yeah,
I was like, dang,
yeah,
it's
it
over.
was.
I'm from Houston, so I'm like,
Okay.
I'm rooting for the Cougars. But I'm sitting there, I was like, oh man, it's over for the city. Then the next thing you know, it got under a minute. Then wait a minute, 6 down by 6. U of H hits the 3. I'm like, well, wait a minute here. Like
Yeah.
wait a minute here. We might got something here. And then once they got the steal on the next play, step back, tried to hit the 3, but then the emphatic slam dunk on the follow, I was like, whoa, we got something. And then as you see how the rest played out, but just a phenomenal game, man. And I mean, it was real impressive. Everything about Houston, they was on display. Everything you thought. They're tough. They're gritty. They can shoot. They can score. They do have some playmakers. Experienced team. It all came into effect. I think finally that Duke, playing with 2 or 3 freshmen, 2 star freshmen, and maybe a sophomore here, I believe as well.
Yeah, they
I
do.
think
Yeah.
their youth finally showed up, probably in that last 3 minutes or so. But
Yeah.
again, hats off to them, man. I can't say they choked. Some say that. I say Houston just took it, man. They just took the game. They just took it. So 4 number 1 seeds. Type basketball you want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, and I do agree with what you said that it wasn't a choked game, that he just took that took that dub just out of their hands, because like I don't want teams to get so cocky when they're like when they have the lead. Don't get too cocky. Don't get all laid back. This is the number one defensive college team in the nation in
Yep.
college ball right now.
Yep.
They are the number one seed, and so are you. The reason why you and your Duke team are the number one team, because of the height you guys got and how well you guys play, and because of the coach you have.
Yep.
Mind you, Houston got a phenomenal coach, and on top of that, they got a phenomenal defense. They ain't
Yep.
got no height, but they got some ballers, and they got some, a little bit of defense on them. So
Yeah.
so so that right there, that saying defense win championships, I believe that's true. But you also got to know how to score the basket too, and
Yeah.
that's what Houston was doing. They found some of the weak spots on Duke, and they just attacked. Each time that Duke have let Houston get wide open spots, Houston are attacking them. Just consistently, just like attacking the rim. But during the first quarter, they were missing a few of their shots.
Mm.
You got a big man just doing euros. Like, bro, if you don't power through that and get you a layup or a foul or something, like you gotta be mindful of what you're doing. But I really had Duke winning this game, because I really think that Duke can win this, because the way how they was playing during the first half, I'm like, oh, they got this. Second half, I'm like, oh yeah, nah, they're getting cooked.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
Yeah. I think we a lot of people got to put some respect on Houston's name.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it going into it, I think they had I think the longest win streak in the country this season.
Hmm.
So people just totally overlooked that. They just overlooked, I think, the most Final Fours here recently, going back the last few years. And then you got the coach Kelvin Sampson, which I'm rooting for. Of course, I'm from Houston, but I'm just rooting for him. If you know his story, you know how long he's been in the game. He's an old school coach, big success everywhere he's went. So hopefully he can finally get him one. But just going back to this game, I want to put this on the Dukes coach as well. He just kept leaving the guy in there on the inbounds play every time. He never tried to switch up that particular play, or he never tried to switch players.
Right.
Uh,
He never
yep.
did.
to someone else to throw in an inbounds play. I mean, these are kids, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids out there playing in the biggest moment of their life. Obviously, the guy he kept putting in there was shook up. So I put that on him as well. I don't know if they had a timeout. I believe they did burn one of their last timeouts
Yeah,
or
I think
something.
it was
And
that foul call that Duke had, and then they just wasted their timeout, so they had
yep,
nothing on that right there. So he just
yep,
threw everybody in there and just go ahead and play ball. Like, bro,
yeah,
you're a coach, man.
yep. And it's funny because I believe the commentator made a comment when they did burn that timeout that it can come back and bite them later on in the game. And it's just a lot of things, man. The coaching mismatch as
Yeah,
well. I think it was a big coaching mismatch. Don't get me wrong. Duke's young coach, John Shire, is a good coach. They did have a great season. They just ran up against another great team. So
yeah, they definitely
kudos to
did.
them, but kudos to U of H for coming back and just taking that game and just showing the nation how gritty they are. And as you say, they can also score the ball when the opportunity comes up. Because if you can be gritty, score the ball, and just come in and play your game, you got a shot. And
Yeah.
yeah, they were in some close games this year. I did hear some of the national people on some of the national shows. One of the points, and it came up and showed itself. They were like, "Well,
Mm-hmm.
Duke wasn't in too many close games this year."
No.
U of H was in a few tough games, even here recently in a tournament. So they said it could come down to that, and it did. It did. Experience showed, inexperience showed, and Houston moves on.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this too, like, cause the the last time that Duke was in the Final Four and lost, what I think it was like 2017, where Zion Williamson was a Duke, and they lost the Final Four. So seeing Cooper Flag lose the Final Four, I know that was a heartbreak on him because he was hoping to secure a title for Duke, and but when you're playing against a tremendous team like Houston, who has a tremendous defense, you got to be careful. You can't just bull rush. You because just because you're 6'9" and you got a 7 foot center, that don't matter because as long as your defender's playing great defense on you, you got to find some opportunities in some ways to work yourself around that and score your basket. But you can see Houston was shutting them down a few times for each play that they ran. I think Duke had like a few turnovers in that game too because of Houston. So actually, I can look and see how many turnovers that did Duke have. How
Seemed like, seemed like they had quite a few, but it seemed like they had the most
Yeah,
in
because
a
it's like
time that they did not need to have it is at the end of the game. So turnovers cost you, you know,
yeah.
every sport.
How many turn did Duke have? So they had about 7 turnovers against Houston. 7 turnovers.
Seemed like they had
And
about oh, I was gonna say, seemed like they had 3 or 4 just trying to inbounds the ball.
yeah, 7 turnovers. Like I don't think Duke has had a game where they've had that many turnovers. I feel like Duke has been that top team when they're facing another school, they always came up on top and they always dominate. But when you're facing another number one seed that has tremendous defense, that's a different story. Because now you're facing another best team in college. So it's like, actually, you know what? It's the same as Auburn and Florida. Like like you got that one point guard on Florida.
Clayton Jr.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Clayton Jr. Yep, Clayton Jr. He was phenomenal. Had a sweet 34 ball game, 30 ball game against Auburn, and that game right there, I felt like Auburn and Florida was a really good game. They both had good defense, but it's just Clayton Jr. Man, he just dominated. Another guy like another guy like that which I'm assuming that people had Auburn winning that, but we all know Florida is that tough team right there. So when you got a guy like Clayton Jr. and his teammates, like they pulled through. And because for me, I was hoping that I would see Duke versus Florida in the championship. I was hoping to see that because that was a phenomenal game.
yeah.
And honestly, any team out of Auburn, Florida, Duke, Houston would have been a phenomenal game in the championship, no matter what team it is.
Yeah.
Because you know why? They're the number one seeds, and they know how to put on a show. Just like in the NBA, you got Curry and LeBron. Whenever they match up, they always put on a show because you got two of the greatest, to play the game that they love to play. Same thing in the WNBA. If you got two of the greatest female hoopers and they face each other, it's going to be a ball out. And if you go to college, if you got two of the best, if you got four of the two top number one seeds in college facing off in Final Four, going to the championship, it's going to be a ball out. So it's not going to be a blowout, but it's going to be a close game. And that's what Duke and Houston had. They had a 1-point game, and it turned into a 2-3-point game lead for Houston, and Houston ended up taking the dub. So I just really think that you can't. I feel like Houston is the most slept on team because I don't hear too much about Houston. I'm always hearing about Cooper Flag, about his situation for like draft picks for the NBA. That's all I'm hearing about. When I seen Houston play last night, I was like, dude, what's going on with Houston, bro?
Boys look hungry.
Houston got some dogs in them, yo.
A bunch of dogs.
I was like, dog. I'm mad I missed the first half of Auburn and Florida, but I did see the second half. I'm like, yeah, this is. Oh man, yeah, Florida got it. When I heard Clayton Jr. got 30, I said, oh yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
Because I heard about him too, and he's nice.
Calling him the next Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, And I mean that game was a dog fight too, though. That Florida, that game was a dog fight too. I mean, you can come back and say Florida took that game, in my opinion. They came back. Clayton Jr. got hot. They came back. That game was a dog fight all the way to the last few minutes, just like you wanted March Madness. And so, I mean, it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to watching it. I hadn't looked forward to watching a college championship men's game in a long time. But I'm definitely looking forward to this one. I know a lot of people wanted to see the Duke, Florida. They figured two great teams, great matchup. But at U of H, Florida's matchup is going to be a good one as well.
Of course.
Yeah, athletes all over on both sides, pure athletes, pure thoroughbreds. They got some experienced guys. I know at U of H, you got some guys that been in college, fifth. I think a couple in their 6th year, allowed within the rules, of course. Same with Florida. Just like I say, it's going to be defense. Rubber meets the road. You know what I mean? It's going to be defense against probably the best offense all season, and definitely the only team that's left. But definitely the best offense in Florida. So U of H. U of H bringing the defense, Florida bringing the offense, a bunch of athletes. I expect to see some great ball, some dunks, some razzle razzle, dude.
Yes,
a couple
sir,
people
yes,
getting put on their ass during the game, with some horror fouls. So I'm ready, man. I'm ready to watch this.
Yeah. Speaking of Florida and Auburn, me and you can go over the team stats for that Florida and Auburn game. So we'll go from field goals all the way down. So for field goals, Florida went from 25 to 53, while Auburn did 25 to 20 to 57 from the field goal. The field goal percentage for Florida is 47.2, while Auburn is 43.9. 3 pointers made. Florida hit 8 out of 21. Auburn hit 7 out of 25. Florida had a 38.1 3-point percentage, while Auburn had a 28%. Free throws, they both, had a pretty much of a tie of 21 out of 30, 16 out of 23. They both had a 70, 69, almost like, 70% free throws. But the only downfall about the stats is that Florida had more rebounds, they had more offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, and they had 16 turnovers, but Auburn had 22 personal fouls, and they had 11 assists and 11 steals. So if you think about it, the real reason why they lost is because of the field goals, the 3-pointers, rebounds, offensive and defensive rebounds. So
yeah,
really, if you think about it, Florida and Houston, they're gonna have a battle of a boards, boards and everything. So that's how I know that this team is gonna come down to a wire of at least a point game, at least something, because like if you like, I just read the stats for you guys. Like I read the stats, me and CP, we read it, and now we're gonna give you our thoughts on that. So it's like, okay, so what is your opinion on? No, I'm sorry, not what your opinion, but I want you a question. Do you think Houston is gonna pull this game through against Florida, against Walter Clayton Jr.?
I think they can, but they have to contain him. It starts with him, it ends with him. You're not going to stop him because he's that good of a shooter. But I think with the caliber of defense that Houston has, they can contain him enough to where they can kind of keep the game close. So, and then if they can keep it close, see what happened with Duke.
Yeah,
But you gotta slow. Florida has some athletes, man, some runners and gunners, and
yeah,
the good thing is both teams got experienced players. But going back to him, he's a phenomenal player, man. First team All American. But
yeah.
I think those guys, a couple of those guys at U of H, they have to take it personal and
Mhm.
contain him to have a shot. I think if he goes off, or if you allow him to go off in the right moments, at the right time, then Florida has this. I actually have Florida winning in my bracket, and I
Okay.
actually, yeah. In the ESPN
Yeah.
bracket, the only bracket I filled out, I just finally checked it, and I did pick U of H and Florida in the championship, but I got Florida winning the game. But
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
but I think now, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't
Were you
know.
expecting that Florida will face Duke?
Well, no, I actually, like I said, in my bracket, the whole time, even before I filled out the bracket, I was going to make sure I filled it when I saw saw the teams. Once the rankings came out for as number one seeds and two and so forth, I did go all the way. I had U of H over Duke. I did pick all the four number one seeds. I did put that. I just went chalk, picking the favorites. This tournament, you pretty much knew, man, with the NIL, how people can move around now. It's not really too many small schools that's going to pull up the upsets. I think those days are gone. So now with all this NIL money, the bigger schools, the rich just going to get richer. So I had all those teams picked, but I did have those two in the championship game. I had U of H over Duke, and of course I had Florida over Auburn. So I'm looking to see how it plays out. So if my bracket plays out, Florida's a champ. After watching University of Houston last night, which I've watched them all season long, and again they've had the longest win streak in the country. They're just not the big brand name, but they play in a tough conference, Big 12. So I knew those guys was good. I knew what they were capable of. I'm glad the nation get to see it. That's what I'm happy for those guys, that the nation gets to see who they are. Like I said, I picked Florida, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if U of H pulls this off. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. Definitely looking forward to seeing the game.
Yeah, 100%. And I can't really decide who I want. Is just I'm excited to see two number one seeds, just going at it. Like the one thing I love about basketball is seeing the two best teams facing off,
right,
and giving us a show. Not this blowout, I mean, the blowout is cool. Right. I just prefer that you got two of your top best players on each team, but this time you got the best player on Florida, Walton Clayton Jr. versus Houston's defense, to see how Houston is going to initiate to get on top of Walton Clayton Jr. to make sure how they're going to slow him down, because they slowed down Cooper Flagg a little bit, but now you got to face Walter Clayton Jr., which is a phenomenal shooter, phenomenal scorer, and he's got phenomenal rebounders on that team. Yep. And he's got that tall white boy who's a phenomenal rebounder too. So it's like you got some, you know what I'm saying? So
you got some. You got some athletes over there, man.
Yeah, you got some athletes. So
they got some athletes over there. That's what I mean. All season long, Florida's has. They made me a believer. Probably halfway during the college season, I was like, well, let me check out Florida, man. What's all the hype? What's going on over there? Yeah. And the boys got some athletes, man. So, but like I said, U of H got some athletes too. They got some athletes too. So
they do got some athletes.
Yeah, we're gonna see. Yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna see who's bringing it tomorrow. But like two good coaches. Even though Kelvin Sampson, like I said, he's old school. I've been watching college basketball a long time, and that man has been a great coach in the game a long time. Even was the coach of the Houston Rockets for a little bit before he actually became the coach at U of H. I believe he was the assistant coach for the Rockets, and I believe he had some issues in college. I don't know, a lot of people not familiar.
Back issues.
Yeah, back when the NCAA wasn't all so before you can pay players and like the NIL and everything that's going on now with the openness. Well, it was a lot of like really restrictive rules back with the NCAA covering all sports up until these last few years, where some of those rules are just about going away. One of them, I believe, he got in contact recruiting violation. I believe when he was at Oklahoma, something stupid, made one too many phone calls to the recruit.
That's crazy.
Now I believe you can probably make as many phone calls as you want. And I believe I think that's where he got let go. But he was a real successful coach back in the day for the Oklahoma Sooners. Little extent in the pros. Loved Houston so much, decided to take the U of H job, and the rest has been history. He's been nothing but successful since he's been there. So looking for that guy to get him a championship, man. One of the old dogs that's still around in the game,
That's good. I love it. Okay, so we pretty much filled that in with Duke's elimination. Let's talk about South Carolina versus UConn. That championship. So, do we know for sure that we either got UConn winning or we got South Carolina winning, which are two good teams? Remind you, UConn has Paige Beckers, and they do. She do got some phenomenal, hoopers on her side too. But South Carolina, man, they got some dogs over there too, man. I've seen them play. South Carolina got some, They got some dogs over there. But do we think UConn is going to come out of this with a dub or with a loss?
Oh man. Let's see. UConn did beat them by 30 points. I don't believe it was a couple months ago, maybe a month and a half. So basically this season, I think they handed South Carolina, I believe it was their first loss of the season, and beat them by 30, which was shocking, but I believe that game was in Connecticut, if that makes a difference, but still, you lose by 30.
Okay.
You lose by 30, you can play on the moon. You just got your ass whooped. You know what I mean?
By 30, that's crazy, bro. By 30 is crazy.
That was shocking because when I seen it, I was like, what? I was like, no, I had that check because I didn't see the game, of course. So I was like, damn.
So do you think so do you think this is payback?
It could be. That's the other angle I'm looking at. You know what I mean? Because
payback, I love it.
Yeah, I saw South Carolina the other day. They got some get back against University of Texas. Texas that beat them here in Austin. That's where I'm at. Yeah, that's where I live now. So they beat them here in Austin. And I believe they beat them by like 3 or 4 points. Hard-fought game. Then a month later, just seemed like a few weeks ago, they got their get back against Texas. They beat Texas, I believe, by like 20. And then they meet again, in the Final Four. And I guess South Carolina still want more payback. And they kind of play by them again. So,
they
so
maybe that villain role.
Yeah, they look like they looking for. They might be like, hey, let's get back against, UConn. But in all seriousness, this is going to be another great game. Two great defensive teams. Both of these teams can play great defense. Their coaches are both Hall of Famers. You got Auriemma, the best. Some say arguably the best to ever do it. Dawn Staley is quickly in that group. If you know her history, phenomenal college player. Used to be one of my favorites to watch growing up. So two great coaches, championship coaches, multi-championship coaches, great players, experienced players on both ends. You got Paige Beckers wanting to go out with a bang. That's the only thing she just hasn't done since she's been in college is actually win a championship. And you expect it to win a championship when you go to UConn. In 4 years, if you're one of the greatest, you have to win a championship before you get out of there, right? And so that's why she came back. South Carolina's going for the repeat championship. It'll be, I believe, their third in the last 4 years. If they pull this off. So another one, man, I'm looking forward to it. The coaching matchup again. You got the players. You got legacies on the line. You got a bunch of McDonald's All-Americans everywhere. Yeah. You got future pros everywhere. And I believe, don't sleep on, I believe her name is Summer Sanders for UConn, freshman. Mm-hmm. Don't sleep on her. They're where they're at, partly because of her. It's not just Paige Beckers. They're like the duo right there. And I believe she's a true freshman as well. So, and then just about all the talent, South Carolina. They might not have a bunch of names that you just shout out automatically like Paige Beckers, but man, they got 10 McDonald's All-Americans on that squad, and 6 or 7 of them have won a championship since they've been there. So it's going to be a nice one, man. It's going to be a show.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. So I think for UConn and SC, I really like UConn, so I think I'm gonna go UConn with this one.
I'm kind of feeling UConn too. You know what I mean?
I feel like UConn will get it done.
I want Staley to win. I want to see her go back to back.
Yeah.
I like to see her win for other reasons. We'll talk about off air one day.
Yeah, we'll definitely do to have a little chat.
Yeah, and but I don't hate UConn. I actually like Paige Becker. You know what I mean? She can ball. And then, of course, give respect where respect is due. When you're talking about Gino Arietta, one of the greatest coaches, not just women coaches, but one of the greatest, most successful coaches to do it. So I like to watch the games and see the part of the game. I like to find out which coach is doing what. I like the game within the game. I like watching the game to
Yep.
figure out the game within the game, and then I can watch the players and see if it all comes together. Just a little excitement, a little extra excitement while you're watching the game, man. Trying to break it down.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
like to see greatness, man. I like to peek and see what these coaches are on. So we'll see, man. I'll definitely be in front of the television watching the game tonight.
Okay, but yeah, I'm looking forward to to seeing who's gonna come out on top, and then hopefully we can figure out what time and when is the Florida and um hold on I'm trying to get the
8 o'clock usually Monday. Usually around 8,
yeah I think
8:30.
so we're trying to get my uncle. We're trying to get our Uncle Mom, the other co-host, to hop back on to get on the show. He's having issues trying to get back on. But there is another point that I want to bring up, but let me go ahead and send him another link so that we can get him on here. So let me go ahead and send that real quick, and then we can discuss it real quick. All right. Hello?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, did your thing go out?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I have it right here.
Okay. All right. So let's move. Let's move our attention to a small amount of information for the NBA real quick. Um, this is very interesting right now. John Morant finds 75K.
Pow pow.
Yeah, 4 games in a row that he's had.
Do what he want to
Finds
do.
75K. What do you want him to do, bro? Like, what do you like? Finding a guy with 75K, like, bro, just let it be. All right, like he's just not gonna learn his lesson, dude. Just why are we making this a big deal? Like, oh yeah, I get it. He does this, but we see NBA players doing this, like like doing this. The little silencer. You remember LeBron's silencer? Yeah, you feel me? Yeah. So like we had NBA players who do gun signatures or any like yeah we seen that before. So it's like I why are we making this big deal about this, man? It makes no sense. So I want your opinion on that while I try to send him another link.
Man, we talking about John Wick, I believe, right?
Yeah. Yo, everybody call John Morant John Wick. That's what we gonna call him.
Call him John Wick. John Wick.
Yeah.
Call
him John Wick.
I just don't get it, and I get what you're saying. I totally agree. Just let it be. Just leave him alone. Maybe it'll go away. But it's like his history with it. The commissioner is just like, no, man, I can let this go away, but you just keep playing with me. You keep playing in my face. You keep doing what we asked you not to do. You've been suspended. You've done this. And as far as that, I can just say I don't know what the NBA did behind the scenes to keep him legally out of trouble, right? We don't know that. So maybe it was some type of agreement that they had to bust their ass to pay whatever, do this for imaging. But I don't know, man. Other players do it, but just with his history, man, your prior history is not good with that. I know you're a grown man and all that, but if the NBA won't just drop it, I put that on him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because it's not that serious, brother. Your employer is asking you to do this. You're your own man, but because of your employer, you cashing these huge, huge checks. And yes, everything is about money. You know what I mean? And then you got corporate sponsors. He trying to be the hero for the YNs. I get it. You know
yeah,
what
bro,
I
come
mean?
on.
he,
He
he
already
the
got
hero of
you
the
know what I'm
YNs.
saying?
He got to keep that
Yo,
image
what's
up.
good? What's good?
What's up? What's
What's
up? But
good, bro? What's
What's
good? What's
good?
good?
yeah, that dude's just hard
And
headed.
I apologize getting into the joint late.
That's all right. And we
Now
over
you
here
good,
talking
bro?
about John Wick, man. Yeah.
Yeah, John Wayne, that boy John Moran
Hold on.
John Moran was fined 75K for doing a gun
Pow
gesture
pow, you know what I mean?
like this against Golden State Warriors, man. He did
Oh
a
yeah,
he
yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah. I saw that. I
Hey,
saw that.
told the man, but the man he
Golden State
told
game,
the
right?
man not to do it the night before. After he did it before, we was like, hey, we just gonna leave you alone. We not gonna find you. It was another player on the other team did it. Blah blah blah.
Right.
Sweep on the rug. We go. The man go the very next night. Pow pow. I'm
Yeah, he was like, I was like, bro, what are you doing, dog?
At some point, yeah, at some point you gotta understand who your employer is. You're right.
You
You know what I'm saying?
NBA,
That ain't the
100%,
stage for
dog.
it.
right? And they just don't want to see
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, they
Not from
don't. But
you.
the thing is,
yeah,
too, the thing
yeah.
about that is because we've seen players have that kind of gesture, not the same as that, but something identical to that.
Man, they all
And
doing it.
What?
right, they all doing it.
My cousin does it. When she hits a
Right.
three, she has to her singer blows it, puts it down, but they can get
Right.
away with that. But
So
Right.
so
John Wick can't do that.
right. So should we really make a big deal about this? Because at some point it's like he's gonna keep doing it.
No, but he can't. He can't. He has to make a big deal out of
Yeah.
it because these
Right.
folks,
That's the thing.
these corporate folks, they're gonna make a big deal out of it. And they're
Of course.
gonna keep making
Yeah.
a big deal out of it. And they're not gonna stop because the
Yeah.
show will go on without you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So obviously what they're saying with him, is the
Right.
way he looked against for the Shield. All that
He's gonna
trouble with the
ruin it for
gun,
himself.
this and that. He got the Shield
But you
looking
know what?
bad.
You know what that is though? That's just that, they're not gonna go in line with what he's doing. That's not in the
That's
marketing.
it.
That's not what they're marketing.
That's it. Other
They're not
players can do
marketing.
it.
You know what
But
I'm
he
saying?
can.
So Ray, like
Really,
I
really,
got a
no,
question.
really nobody should be doing it. But at the end of the day, people doing it. But he got so much heat on him. Anything you do, any gesture is where they're paying a lot of attention to you because you're stirring up the wrong image, which is against the marketing structure for the NBA.
Yep.
100%.
We ain't looking
Yeah.
at the 10th man on the bench that come in the game and hit him a three, and the stadium empty, the arena empty, and it's a
Right.
Tuesday night, and he does his little gun thing. We don't even know who he is. But
We
John
actually
Wick,
seen a you know what's crazy? There was a small clip of when, because like before he did this, there was another game that Memphis had. He was on the bench, and then there was like a little crossover play, slam dunk play, and Ja was like, bah, 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 bah. I was like, bro, where you come on, dude? First of all, you were in court because you were seen on live with a gun. It wasn't
strip club.
right, and
Well,
in a strip club.
they don't want no parts of anything to do with a gun, marketing, anything.
Man,
Remember, now CP, this is the NBA don't play with no guns. If you remember Gilbert Arenas, right?
Yep.
Played for the
Yep.
Wizards. First man to got $100 million contract. First one to ever get it. And they shut his ass down because he brought a gun into the locker room of the Wizards.
Few guns.
And it was a whole big feature. Yes, Google it, look it up. He got when that happened to him, they suspended him, the whole shit.
He bought the gun, and the
Yeah.
dude, his teammate, they had got into it over some gambling shit. So he said something smart to Gil. Gil came back the next day with his shit in the locker room. Like
in the
what?
locker room.
And then the other dude,
CP, this Aaron Michelle know nothing about this right here. This what I'm saying, the old school, new school.
Man, listen,
This really
boys
did happen though.
Yeah, they wasn't just shooting guns in there, finger pointing. Boys was bringing real pistols to the place. Like, let's get down.
Because they like, yo, I'm a gangster. I got money. I'm doing what I'm gonna do, and they just ain't having it. They shutting that shit down because the NBA is way bigger than one player. Way bigger.
So
the owners,
I got it right here.
The owners make money from the NBA. So look at the owners. The owners got so much paper. They're paying these salaries.
Man, listen, Javaris Crittington, I think, was the teammate, right?
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
And it was over gambling. And Crittington's actually in prison right now.
Yep. They was gambling, and they play a one-on-one game for $100,000. That's how it started. Right here in DC. That's exactly what it started on.
Yep.
He said for $100,000, nigga, da 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 da, and then they was.
But
like,
I think Gil said. I think Gil said he wasn't even in the game, like the gambling game. He was on the sidelines laughing or something, instigating.
Right.
You know, Gil.
Yep. Listen, that shit was crazy, and the NBA shut his shit down.
Man, listen, he brought his shit to practice. His teammates was shocked, like it was a huge thing. But Gil coming there with 2 or 3 guns, because dude said something smart. Gil said, "I'll show you." That's crazy. And then on top of that, a side note, that dude Crittington, who was the other dude in this whole incident with Gilbert Arenas, he's serving life in prison right now.
Gilbert Arenas don't play.
Side note.
Listen, anytime you want to fucking play Gilbert, he's like, play for some money. That's what it all is.
But the dude Crittington serving life in prison for murder. The dude Gil brought the guns to, well, after he was out the NBA, he got involved with gangs after the NBA. I don't know how that happens, I guess, since he was in LA.
Right.
Anyway, he shot some drive-by, killed somebody. He doing life in prison. So the locker room incident could have got really ugly, because dude ended up pulling the trigger and killing somebody anyway. So I don't know if the young cats that just come into the league, the younger generation, maybe they didn't know that. Maybe they don't study that. Someone like Ja needs to look into that and really understand, like, this is why they're not playing.
Yeah, real talk. And remember the one guy that played for New England, Gonzalez. When he was at where was he at? Florida State or somewhere. They had bodies down there. He was just the piece out. Look at that. You ain't know that, Hermes? The boy from his name is Gonzalez, right?
Hernandez.
Yep, Hernandez. He had bodies in college.
Yeah.
And because he was making money, they would get on him, try to shut it up, and push him through because he was the ticket.
Yep.
All them folks in that neighborhood. That's that. He was into the whole gangster shit and just robbing niggas. That was his crew. He grew up.
He grew up like he lived in the whole street life. He cashing in NFL checks.
Yep, NFL check. He went to New England and he murdered the one boy and in jail to this day.
No, he offed himself.
Oh, he did. He ended up killing himself. Okay.
Yeah, he ended up offing himself.
Wow.
In jail.
I didn't know that. Wow, that's crazy. I remember that case, bro. That was he played for New England. New England was winning back then. That was when Tom Brady was there.
Man, listen, Hernandez, he was smoking weed. He was killing people. You know what I'm saying? Right. He was selling. Somebody selling drugs.
He buying urine, passing the drug test. He doing everything.
Hey, this man act like he wasn't even in the NFL. This man act like he was just a street. You know what I mean?
Balling.
Balling though. He was out there still balling. I'm talking about balling.
It's not funny, like, disrespecting what he did, because that's a travesty. But at the end of the day, that was what they do. That's what they do. That was business for them.
All night. The man can step up, show up to the game, show up to practice, ball out, head back to the street life.
Yeah. Listen, a lot of money. That money that he making going through some hands. He in there flipping it, doing anything, any kind of deal. Hey, I ain't mad.
Oh
I mean, I'm not
I
mad at him
ain't
if
mad.
you take advantage of the opportunity. But again, you don't want to get to the point where you murder somebody. But at the end of the day, bro, paper is paper. Paper bring more paper.
Man, listen, my
What you
man
think
was
you doing with that money?
saying.
He got paid too. He was what, in the first round draft pick coming out of Miami?
Well, no, he was
Or was
actually
it
a third
Miami or
round draft
Florida
pick.
State? One or two.
It was Florida. He was a
Okay.
third round draft pick.
Yeah,
Came out
Florida.
Florida Gators.
Yep.
Would have been a first round draft pick. Dropped to the third round. Character issues. Duh. Because of character issues, right?
But if it wasn't for the characters, he would have went the first round.
They were right. Obviously, the
Miami won the championship that year.
with Tebow. He played with Tebow. They
Yeah.
won the championship. But obviously, the character
Yeah, so
concerns were just.
Boy,
They were just.
the boy can play.
So man, he smoking weed,
Gangster.
doing all that shit in college, and came to the league, balled out. He ended up getting though like a $40 million contract, and that was big at that time for a tight end.
Yep.
And that's when that street light turned it
For a
up.
rookie?
Turned that. No, after off his rookie deal, after like his third year, he got an extension. Yeah, off his rookie deal, he got that $40 million extension. Then shit went haywire. He ain't had that shit a year before he got to offering people.
They investigated him for a whole year.
Yeah, so man, shit can get crazy though. Shit can get crazy, and all these professional sports, man, they're not gonna fuck around with guns. It's just not that image. And yeah, certain people can do it, but everybody don't got a signature shoe. Everyone's not John Morant, so you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? But regardless of your damn priors, for one, you can't do that. You know, we still trying to clean your image up from that last shit you was in. You know, that's how they looking at it.
Yeah.
Right. You think he can do you, but he pushed you.
Hey, bro, you cutting out.
But man, my bad over here. All right, yeah, here.
See you enjoy
the park's so packed.
So you enjoying some of that Carolina weather, huh?
Brother.
Nah, it's the internet heat over there. It's the internet. But nah, it's the internet.
I'm trying to find somewhere to sit down, so I apologize for that. Trying to hurry and find somewhere. But y'all,
all right, well, I'm gonna say this. Hold on, Grandma. Hold on. I'm gonna say this. So I want to just speaking of John Morant situation, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Isaiah Stewart, the center of Detroit Pistons, is now suspended from the NBA from initiating fighting his whole career.
Yeah.
So we did see the little scene with him and LeBron.
Suspend him indefinitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Indefinitely.
Yeah,
I thought it was just a game or two. They upgraded it.
Like they said this man was suspended from the NBA.
Because I thought a game or two came out, but I can believe that too. Because Isaiah Stewart, he with the shits. He with all the shits. He want all the smoke. You know what I mean? So he always in some shit. So, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it didn't because
but if they said,
you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? They were like, but hold on, but there were 7 NBA players from both sides got suspended, and the head coach got kicked out the game too. And you know what's crazy? Check this out. Check this out.
Clean house.
Look, check this out. Hold on.
Crazy.
So Houston Rockets right now, their first in ejections, their first in coach tech, their first in player tech, and their first in disqualifications since 2023-2024 season. Talk about it.
The Rockets?
Yes.
Wow.
And Dylan Brooks is suspended too, but not indefinitely, but he's suspended.
Well, I mean, for the Rockets, I like it. You know what I mean? I like it. I mean, that the young and Dylan, but at the same time, I like it
Wait.
as it's
So wait,
building toughness. Because they got a young team.
right. But CP, that ain't nothing because that's putting back the physicality in the game, and then it's costing them. The physicality got took out the game because they wanted points. That's what they was defensive. Back when the Knicks was balling, and the games would be 100 points because defense. That was it. Back in the day, 105 was a lot of points back then. Some games didn't get to 100 because remember the Jordan, they was it was physical. You understand
real
what I'm
physical.
saying? So
you know what I mean?
They got away from that because they wanted to. Because when Magic and them came into the league, that was showtime.
Right.
The Lakers were one of the first teams to start averaging 120, 125. That's why they called them the Late Show.
Right.
They added where the NBA went to where I want to be able to have less physicality because you get more points. And that's what they was driving. Now you'll see games 120, 110. You know, so every game you expect them to go over 100. When back in the day, they wouldn't get over 100 because of the physicality. Now they trying to bring that back in them kind of ways. Now sometimes you get too rough, like Detroit Pistons. Remember when Rodman and all went to dance? Remember that where everybody got ejected because they were going after the fans. That was the bad boys.
Yeah, bad. That shit made for bad TV though.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what the league was. That's what we grew up on, playing physical.
We loved it, but.
You know what I'm saying? And you had, and some of that went into coaching because now you guess what, physical as you can to take a toll on a player within the rules. And you have a guy that's coaching. You know, like remember that CP. You say, okay, I'm a coach, and that's the best player. I got team fouls to give him. Let's get
it. You're right,
coach. No,
I got 15 fouls. Yeah. That's what dudes. That's when dudes.
Man,
he keep breaking up, bro.
Yeah, he breaking up, so it's hard to. But I hear, hey, that's when they had dudes on the bench just to getting paid an NBA salary just to come in there and use their 6 fouls on the other team's best player. You know what I mean? And Isaiah Stewart, he would have rocked out in the 90s. You know?
Yeah, for real, yeah. Yeah, we seen that in college too, and early 2010s, early 2000s too. You know, early 2015, like early in the NBA, NBA era, we seen a lot of those too. Like, and just before we had Isaiah Stewart, man, we had who was it? Cam Johnson.
Cam Johnson got into it.
Yeah, from Miami. That boy, he didn't care who you were, man. He give you straight hands, man. and you know what's crazy?
James, you know what? James Johnson. Was it James Johnson?
James Johnson. My bad.
Yeah,
James Johnson. So I remember on Carmelo's podcast, I think it was the White. He had the White Howard on his show, and they were talking about Isaiah Stewart. They were saying like dude, they're like, man, get this man out of the league, bro. Have the NFL sign this man up because he don't belong in the NBA, man. He don't. But they were saying like, man, like, yo, do you remember this man, James Johnson? They was like, woo! James Johnson was a beast, man. They was like, bro, did you know this man was a boxer?
No, MMA.
There's no, he MMA boxer. It was like, for us, yeah, that do nice. and then they said that if James Johnson met Isaiah Stewart would get like laid out. He would get laid out.
Because first of all, James Johnson is 6'10". Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and I think Stewart maybe 6'8", maybe 6'7".
Yeah, he's not even that tall. He about almost the same height as LeBron.
Yeah, and then I think James Johnson's also going to be a little heavier, and that man is a real mixed martial artist. You know what I mean? It's had professional bouts where he's knocked motherfuckers out, And
Yeah.
I heard Jeff Teague on a lot of the podcasts. Jeff Teague played in the league for a decade, probably been retired now a few years. He's on a lot of podcasts on social media. If
Yeah.
you see,
That man is
uh,
not in the league no more.
yeah. But Jeff Teague, he had his time. He was nice, all star. But anyway, he talks a lot. He tells a lot of these stories. But him and James Johnson were teammates in college as well. Is where I'm going. And he's like, man, James been kicking ass. He's like, nobody messing with James. You know what I'm
Nobody was
saying?
messing with James
Whether it was in
Johnson, bro.
college, whether he got to the league, like he went into practicing MMA boxing and then, getting into it a little bit more because he was whooping people's ass so much. So
100%.
James Johnson still striking fear in
James Johnson was James Johnson was one of them dudes that would put fear into your soul, bro. Like it's
fight
like
break out.
yeah, man. It's like when you see a fight, it's James Johnson in that drink too. It's like, oh, there goes James Johnson, man.
If you go back and watch some of them NBA brawls and shit like that, the ones that James Johnson on the team, you see James Johnson come on the court and see like everybody chill out.
It's like we think about it. Like Isaiah Stewart don't want no problems with James Johnson, but James Johnson was that dog, bro. James Johnson was that dude.
That's some big boys. Them boys big. They ain't little.
That's
dudes.
what I'm saying. But think about it,
life.
But think about it though, like if James Johnson and a guy like Dwight Howard or any big guy we had around the 2000s, 2010s, if you put them in this era of basketball against any big man, they'll dominate.
True big
they'll dominate.
Because
think about it, the Dwight Howard shut down Joker in 2020.
Yes, he did.
He put that man on break. He put that man on lockdown.
Man had that man in a straight jacket. You know what I mean? Had that man strapped up like
dude,
like the young strap him up. That's what they say now. He had that man strapped in the seatbelt.
Yes, sir. The thing is too, no, because when you watch, the bubble, because I'm during that time, people were saying that wasn't an actual championship game. It was because
they played. It just wasn't no fair.
Everyone had a chance to win that championship.
Yeah,
motherfuckers mad because it was LeBron. That's it. That's just the LeBron haters,
right?
But
the thing is too, because they weren't saying about LeBron, but they were saying just the whole championship run itself, like the whole playoff, that it don't count because it was like it wasn't an actual arena. But think about it.
That's bullshit though. Because what do you mean the game don't count? They played the game.
That's what I'm saying, because you can't say it don't count. It was 2020. It was COVID year. What you want to like not have that whole
you play to win the game?
Well,
that's money being paid. That's money. Come on now, people are paying money to come see these games.
But now listen, so in perspective, some people say, okay, they took it away because of the COVID shit. We understand that's a whole pandemic, but at the end of the day, home field advantage does play roles in championships because shit happens when the teams travel out of town. You know what I mean? Look at Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor said, hey, they used to motherfuckers send prostitutes to the players' room the night before and drain them. All kind of shit goes down when you add to the game. When you travel, you know what I mean? Motherfuckers partying, so in that respect, for those people, I would say maybe that's the avenue they saying, but it's definitely not because of what happened on the court.
That's bullshit. The games were still played at the purest form of basketball possible. It was you, me, we locked in this building. All we got to do is eat, sleep, and ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
as a matter of fact,
ball. That's all you
got to
do.
Fact, a lot of NBA players that have said, which is you think about it, it was the purest form because all those excuses are out the window. No traveling fatigue, no this, no that you have to worry about. You just had to worry about ball, which means you were also still pretty healthy. You see what I'm saying?
At the highest point of your game. Yeah, there's no
at the highest point. No excuses.
No distractions.
And as far as the Lakers, First of all, the NBA recognizes it. The NBA threw it. It's in the record books. It's a goddamn championship. It's a trophy. So I don't know who the ever says that. That's just they're dumb. That's just my opinion. So and then no, and the NBA recognizes it. And like I said, the Lakers who won it, they actually got kind of messed over in that process because the pandemic hit. They were the number one seed in the West, so they lost out on home court advantage. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, every team that was there had a chance to win that trophy. You look at right now, NBA championships, that shit is listed. So I don't know what they talking about. It wasn't no championship. It was, man, get anybody, any team, whether it was a player or you're a fan. If it was your team, you gonna love
it. Was trash talking it during that, like during that year, like during the next 2-3 years, like conversations was still going on for the next 1 or 2 years. They were saying like that one championship with LeBron, AD, Dwight, Rajon Rondo, all the like that was a really good squad, and I was kind of hoping they kept that team.
They did what they were supposed to do. Period. That's the games was played on the court. So you can't take that away. They did what they both. But what people get pissed off at it about, and then want to still hate not hating the game because the game is decided on the court, but it's all the other pieces. No fans, no this, no that. So that's the only reason why they're saying it wasn't a real season. It had nothing to do with what happened on the court. It was all the other shit. Fans, distractions, money, side gambling, all whatever you could do, because the NBA took the fans out of the seats. And they had no choice because of the COVID. But like CP said, now you got the highest form, pure basketball, and no distractions,
excuses,
plenty of rest. Right. That's the highest you can play the game. If you can play the game with no distraction, you know how much family and different things depend on people and take away, and that situation took all that off.
You didn't have to worry about it, even if you wanted about it. So you eat, sleep, shit, and ball. You know what I mean?
That's it. You know what I mean? That reminded me back in the day, AAU tournaments. You travel to AAU tournaments, and that's it. And all that weekend ain't nothing about hooping. To the championship is run, but so they were rightfully so was supposed to win. Period. On the court.
100%. Yeah. No, but like that was the point that I bring up, because when you have a year where you got two teams facing off, and then because think about it, like it was COVID year, so like they had to find some way how they were gonna make this work. It was the same thing for the NFL. Are we gonna say like those games don't count? But because like
nobody,
both sports had to make a decision whether or not are they going to continue playing, like have their players continue playing the sport, and then and just like go from there. So really, they shut down like half the season from for basketball, and they continued the rest of the half of it in the bubble. So you had the teams, who didn't have the best season. They had them go home because they didn't make the playoff picture. So they finished the rest of the season, and when it became playoff picture, the teams went home. And then the teams who made the playoff picture stay there.
It wasn't the same platform though, because it wasn't evenly matched as far as comparing situations.
Right.
That situation in the NBA situation, you're in a bubble. This is the hotel and the arena that we at completely the whole time. When you talk about the football, it's a little different because you still have no fans, but you can move around. You can still travel city to city. You understand what I'm saying? So you can get home. You know what I mean? All of them things on you, and yes, you have no fans, but you still can move around. When they was in the bubble, was no nothing.
Nowhere.
No family members,
Like,
none of that. It was just do what you do.
it was during the heart of the pandemic. Like, boom, the NBA season, right? They had to shut it down. I mean, this was in the heart of it. Just really,
Right.
the NFL started, 6 months later. When they had a little bit more time to prepare. So
Right.
Yeah,
of course,
you're
then
right.
that
You're right.
season went on.
Right.
Minus for the most part, but for the most part, their season wasn't. Nothing was really changed as far as that structure.
Right.
Every pack up,
Right.
take these shots, everybody get your ass, and no one's leaving. You know what I mean? And we gonna ball out. We gonna get this done. So
Right.
let's go.
Right. But that's why I said it's still not 100% fair because of the situation. Because you can say, well, this because of this, but no, because it's not even, because you can move around a little bit still.
Yeah.
Like you said, they didn't made some adjustments, contained some stuff, and allowed you to move. But when the NBA got it, was nothing. They was like, oh, everybody stopped. The world stopped.
The world stopped.
The world stopped, bro. The COVID was the main thing. A lot of lives got listen. That's all a power change. They was sometime in economics, you got to cut the fat off, and anybody that was over at the senior citizen, that COVID was meant to take out the senior citizens so they could get for money. So I don't have to pay the security. I don't got to do this or that. So now we said, okay, a lot of money, big money changed hands because of COVID. Because you took everything off the table, and now everything has to get distributed through the one connect instead of 15,000 connects. Right. Government owned. I mean, that's what the COVID was. So sometimes you got to do the what's better for the man, for the overall purpose. And sometimes it get a little crooked, but at the end of the day, for money-wise purposes, you will get bankrupt because they didn't intend for seniors to live past 10, 15 years. Now they're living 25, and medicine got them put to limits. It's bankrupting the economy. Right. So where you got to, because your money only going to be your money, and they don't never evenly disperse it. That's why you got millionaires and regular folk. You know what I mean? And now they're going up on everything. Everything's going up on now because they want to put the tariffs in. But I ain't mad. Right now they trying to clean the books off the government to say, hey,
right,
we go, and if you coming in to any situation, the first thing you're supposed to do is audit the books. The government ain't never got audited. And he coming in on a presidential level. On the private sector, everybody gets audited. Some people get caught, some people don't, but they always do checks and balances. They said the one guy was on Social Security and he getting a Social Security check and he's 200 years old. Even if it was 150, nobody's alive at 150. Not getting still Social Security checks.
Yeah,
I mean that's just my opinion on it. But like you said, that's getting off kilter. But that whole COVID shit was all about money. Yeah, the next issue, you know what I mean? And now you got to take to the certain kind of medicine. Then some people saying the medicine, they still getting sick off of it. Did you take the vaccine? There's so much, stuff
so
going
much
on
shit out there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And all that's about money, you know what I'm saying? And the next agenda. So, it's just crazy. But that COVID was some real shit. You don't really see that happen too much where the whole world stopped.
Thing.
Yeah,
man, that you ain't gonna see it again. I ain't gonna see it in my lifetime. You know what I'm saying?
Man, let's
shit. That's 100 years. But actually, you know how it is. They already ran the play. And the play worked. So we might that shit every years.
Yeah, man, that's
shut
crazy.
Down. Switch hands.
Hey, but CP, what about them Cougars? What the Houston thing was, man, I couldn't believe that win last night. Them boys came out of nowhere.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Uncle Ramon. We just talked about that drink earlier today. Like earlier on the video, we just talked about it. We want your opinion on how you feel on the Houston versus Duke. Like what is your opinion? Like how you feel about that game?
Houston was getting their ass kicked the whole fucking entire game. Trust me. I watched it. They were getting their ass outperformed,
they was.
out rebound Cooper Flag doing what he do, all of that. And
Yep.
then, but what happened was the part that people not pay attention to, they won because the players didn't quit on the coach.
That
True.
gritty, man. That's what we were
True.
discussing earlier.
I'm trying to tell you,
Last
because the
nation
coach,
got to see U of H. How
yeah,
tough they're known for being tough, gritty, hard nosed. We gonna get the ass. I'm glad like the
yeah,
nation got to see it. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it was all on
yeah,
display yesterday. All gritty
yeah.
that goddamn game.
Listen, they got outplayed per the game. You know what I'm saying? Not to the point where it was getting embarrassing, because they still had enough pride and heart to keep fighting. And basketball is a game of runs. You get a run here, you get a run here. Look at what they did in the first half. First half, they had under 50 points. I forget what the stat was, but they cut it down
It
to
was a
like
fight
4. Yeah, so they said,
in the
okay, well,
first
we
half.
good. We was down, because I remember one point they down 16. They cut it down. They was rattling with it, letting the game really should have been over. But what happened was, when they went into the second half, the first half Houston couldn't hit shit, nothing, can't buy a basket. Second half, the motherfuckers went for 10 minutes straight with almost 100% accuracy on field goal attempts. They was hitting everything.
11-1
Yeah.
run to close the game.
Yes,
Yeah.
bro. They listen, and even before the 11-0 run, they were still having little runs within that. Just because what happened was Duke started missing. Duke went on a run, 10 minutes with no basket, bro.
Tight.
Game over.
Shit got
There's
tight
no
out there,
game.
man. It got tight out there.
Yeah, listen,
But
they
Uncle
choked.
Ramon,
That's what you call a choke, bro. A choke.
I
And
just
I
said
blame
that.
it on the coach. They
That's what
choked,
I
bro.
said
And you
earlier.
blame it on the
Coach,
I have to blame it on the coach, because at the end of the day, you're supposed to say, listen, end of the day, if I'm having that kind of run in that situation, me as a coach, and I only had one timeout, even if I couldn't use my
do
timeout,
it.
I would be telling my point guard to come over and talk to me in between laps on the court, and tell them to slow the fucking game down, run a half court set, and I need a bucket. They
How about
want to
not
keep
saying-
going up and down, and then you lose, and you ain't making nothing. So for every 5-6 shots that you haven't made, you're giving up those points to catch up in a big game.
How
So I
about the
blame that on
coach
the
not
coach.
changing? How the coach not changing the inbounds passer? I believe, or at least making
Yeah,
sure you
it's
put the right
coaching.
inbounds passer in at the end of the game.
It all comes down to
Uh,
coaching.
Came down to coaching,
Yeah.
bro. Look
And
at
Kelvin
the
Simpson's
steal. Look at
being
the
in
steal
it.
that
So-
Houston got. The
I
play
told
that
Kelvin
Houston got
Simpson-
remind me of. You remember, CP? You remember Reggie Miller when we played with the Indiana Pacers?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
did
when he
one of them
hit the
same
ball.
play where he stole the ball, ran out to the 3, shot
Greg
the 3
Anthony.
with the closing minutes. Yeah, that's that.
Yep,
They just
yep.
blew the game, bro.
But,
Coaching,
and
coaching fucked the game up.
like I said, Kelvinson been in this game a long time. We were discussing that earlier. I was saying, I'm happy for him, but I want to see him get a ring.
Yes.
Not a ring, but actually get that trophy.
The trophy.
Been in the game time. One of the old dogs left in the game. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
And and of course,
Good for him, though. Good for him.
H-Town
I'm
all the
glad for
way.
his story.
I'm going with the H's for this one. I'm right.
Yeah, I got Houston. Listen, I got Houston winning that joint. Because I picked Florida. Yeah, I picked Florida to get in, but I thought Duke would beat them. But like I said, Duke just got out coached in the end, and that's why they lost. Deservingly so. Deservingly so. Like, what do you mean? Like, you need to be, everybody has to be, and then that separates great coaches. That goes to say the man been coaching all his life. He did everything. So as a coach, you get rated on what you should have did versus what the books say to do. He probably got the highest, one of the higher IQ games for coaching on scenario basketball, and he did all the right calls, which won him the game.
Yeah.
So testament to that's 30 years of experience. Young boys, young coaches still miss them things. And sometimes even if you miss it, it's still a 50-50 because you still have to go with shoulda or shouldn't have But how it rectifies is whatever the books say, because that's textbook what the X's and O's say to do. And he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He ain't missed a beat.
No, you
I
got that
hope he
right.
do win. You know what I mean? They said that now that he played Florida, it's going to be NCAA history because it's either going to be the oldest coach to ever win a trophy or the youngest. Because they said Florida got the youngest coach to ever make the finals.
Yeah, young boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's doing it.
But look, check this out. Check this out too, because I just found this out. 2007, Florida Gators won 2 titles, and that was
Back to back.
2025. Right.
Yeah.
So
Florida always had a good team. Right. They never had enough to be an iconic to get over the hump, but they always been competitive.
Right. Yeah. So do we see Walter Clayton Jr., which is their best point on that team? Do we see him sealing the deal against Houston, which is their best defense right now?
Bro, it's when you ask the question to give you the political answer, the answer my heart say Houston gonna win, just because me looking at the game, they fought through all kind of hurdles to win the game, and that speaks character of your team. You push each other, you don't give up, you know what I mean, and you play hard, and then good things happen. But it takes a coach to coach them boys along the way. Once they can get in that ingredient, they got to have that ingredient first. So Houston has the ingredient, and they got a hell of a coach. So that's why I say they're gonna win. You know what I'm saying?
That's
just
what he does.
That's
how he,
you know what I'm saying?
That's his stamp. That's how he builds his coaches.
Yeah.
They're gonna have athletes all over the place. We're gonna grind. We can score a bucket or two as well. Right. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's kind of a little, on Houston Cougars' name. They keep saying throughout this Final Four, they have the longest win streak in the. You know what I mean? I believe at 20-something games or something wild like that, and everybody just skipping over that.
yeah, but you know why? Because you know what I'm saying, that Houston always have a good team. Each year they got a winning program, but like you said, they go back to Olajuwon and all of them back when for the school. The school ain't, the Duke is like a marquee name in the market. 16 appearances and you understand what I'm saying? So you're
we
going up.
That earlier.
It still should have been publicized, but it's just that they're such an iconic, gorilla in
brand.
in this in the sport and collegiate sports. That's just Duke is Duke. Like that's a pedigree. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
They call it selling the hits. You got to sell the hits. Listen. That's what they say. That's the hits. Coach, let's talk about Duke. Let's talk about
So
the Lakers,
Yeah, exactly. And you know what makes it iconic is because now you have a program with that kind of pedigree, and then you got Houston, who's always had pedigree, but they just wasn't winning the big games, because they won a lot of games in there. If you want to count, every game is a game. It's just the magnitude that you put on the game, and that's why you just call pressure. It gets pressure at that point. You know what I'm saying? And every field goal is important. And now the basics and fundamentals of the game come in play, because now I don't care how agile or how John Morant you are with hops. Your ass got to go on the free throw and make a free throw, basic back down the skill set. And some of them boys can't, you know what I mean? And so now this is where you get the other parts of it to neutralize it in some cases. And then you got coaching. Now look at the coach there from Houston. He's playing up against an iconic organization. And if it was against Coach K and them style of play or not, they know what kind of form, what you're getting from the athletes that go to that program. Because Duke going to get more athletes per se because of their pedigree of their body of work than Houston will. Houston gonna still get a good work here, but not so comparatively to Duke. That's why it's so the competition to come out of Duke is hard, because they gonna get a good dude every year. So that's why I give what's your boy name? Flag, man. Listen, Flag gonna go in the draft #1 pick.
Right.
He is,
and because
he's already qualified as it.
Yeah, listen, and you know why? Because it goes back to the same conversation that we had the other day when it becomes down to the black or white thing.
Right.
He gonna
Oh,
go
well,
in and
the next
he
white
be the
hero.
next Larry Bird, and he
Yeah.
backing up the boy from the Lakers. Because right now we were
American
saying it
white.
was gonna be he the one to
American
come the
white
next face
though.
of the league. Now you got
But they
two.
want a domestic white
And
dude though.
that's
It's
not to
been a
take away
while
from
since
his
we.
ball skills. It don't take away
It's
from
been
his
a while
ball
since.
skills, but go ahead. What you say,
Oh,
Chris?
go ahead. No, I was just say that another thing, which is small, but it is a difference. Having a domestic-born American white dude. See what I'm saying? You got the Lucas, everyone else, but those dudes still considered Europeans. It's been a
Right.
while since we've had domestic player, that's come to take over the league, like really take over type, So that's a major difference.
That go back to Larry Bird. Larry Bird was one of the last few.
Hey,
Larry
that you
Bird
be
come
like,
right out of
yeah,
Indiana.
what I mean? So, it's going to, I mean, the kid's still team. He's got a lot of, his ceiling is real high. So I expect him to do big things in the league either way, barring any type of injury, anything like that. I don't know about taking over the league or being the face of the league, and it's young. Now I could be, but I definitely see a, nightly, 20-point score. You know what I mean? 5 or 6 looks like he's a. Of course, I think he can get 5 or 6 assists in the league. You know what I'm saying? 5 or 6 rebounds, which is decent. With some explosion game, that's an all-star. I project him as an all-star.
So listen, I got two questions for both of y'all on that. So what is your opinion? With that being said, about what the potential? Because remember, that's all potential based on where he is.
All potential.
So do you for him to come through and be league? What would be a good team for him to fall into?
Man, it's it's the sewer teams. Like, it's the trash bag. You know what I mean? Only shot he has, any number 1 pick, but the only shot that he has on a decent team is if like a San Antonio, which is going to be in a lottery, again, because Wemby's been out, they bunt, a team like that where it's like they're probably only really in the lottery, like they're going to be, is because a few of their best players are gone. He comes to get healthy. It's some other teams out there, a couple of teams that's probably not going to make the playoffs. One of those type teams. Now, if he falls to the goddamn, God, you know what I mean?
Right. So, all right, so now let me ask you the second part then. So the second part to what you just said, based on who picks him, if you're his agent, if a bottom market USA team picks him with not a big marketing as far as money, do you take him and say, hey, I'm gonna come back and play one more year at Duke? Or do you take the deal?
No.
Off production.
That's never happened, and it never will happen, because when you're number 1 pick, it ain't no coming back and playing. You know what I'm saying? Even with this NIL money, they might give him $10 million.
The money.
Well, he's the number 1, but you're the number 1 pick. Your rookie contract gonna be $50 million, right? And that's after 3 years. And then the other thing is, guys are trying to get to the league so you can get to that second contract faster. You see what I'm saying? You come back to Duke, that's one less year that you got to get to that max money type of deal. You see what I'm saying? And you don't want to, you're going economics. Back. You're just not going back to college. You're just not going back to college. Economics, pure and simple. And then your real endorsements, not this NIL money. You finna get these endorsements to where one company finna give you $5-10 million as opposed to the 30 companies that was giving you to make $5 million. You know what I'm saying?
And you say you always can go back and get your degree at any time.
Man, ain't no number 1 pick in any sport. If you're projected to be number 1, if those shit around, but if you go, ain't no teams are always going to play at the end of the lottery. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's go to the next year, and teams like that, you go ahead and go get your track started to that second contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Economics. Please follow the
Man.
economics 101.
Yeah, you ain't going back. So what? So I go back next year and be that one sad story that I tore my goddamn knee up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I go back to Duke for what?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shit. I went there knowing I was leaving. You know, right away.
Yeah, trust me, Deion
Playing.
Sanders boys is not the norm. That's the one out of the box scenario to that, and that's because Primetime
Right.
got money, and we don't need
Exactly.
nothing. We don't need nothing. He took the
Exactly.
economics off the
Yeah.
table. That's why you
Yeah.
take that decision.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why. And even that was like they put those policies on them, like they get hurt, especially in the NFL. But those policies are, I mean, only give me a lot of money, but those insurance policies are only like I think maybe $10 million. You know what I mean? That's for your
Right.
top players. That ain't
Right.
if I'm finna get $10 million, but I'm gonna lose out on 50 or 60
Right.
initially. Oh hell
Right.
no! I'm going to get this money.
But I agree, PCP. That's Aramis. That's what you call basketball economics 101.
Yeah,
That's what that is.
ain't no way.
And just remember, there's always at least one exception to the rule based on what it is. And like you said, Deion took the economics off the table.
Yeah.
Other than that, there was no other reason that a number one pick would ever do that, because economics say you take that and go back and get your degree later.
All right. And go back one more year.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you're seeing a lot of first picks actually do that, where they go in and they come back and they get their degree. You see NBA players done it before, so based on what CP, right? So based on what CP said, I highly agree. I agree with that, because there's no point of a first pick going back. There's just no point. You can't do that.
Ain't no way, man.
Because if that happened, that would be crazy. Simple.
Right.
But I think
for you go back.
Right, but I think for your question, I think OKC is gonna pick him up.
No, they don't got. They got a lot of picks though.
I think it's either OKC or Brooklyn Nets, because Brooklyn Nets got a lot of picks. They got over 31 picks.
It ain't gonna be okay. They're not gonna be. OKC's not gonna be. They are going to lottery, not because of their record this year. They're going.
Okay.
They have, I think, pick or something this year because of some trades they made before. That pick is going to get Cooper flagged, even in the lottery. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
so they're out of it. Brooklyn, yeah, possibly.
I consider Brooklyn because Brooklyn got over 31 picks.
Yeah, that would be favorable for him to go to Brooklyn, because that's a big market city.
It is because
make money in New York,
right? Because they got over 31 draft picks.
But you said CB, you don't think Brooklyn will get it?
The draft picks don't matter like in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, oh, I got these draft picks. Maybe I can position these draft picks to move.
Right. Okay, right.
The NBA has a lottery system. Right. The lottery system is based on how many losses you have and how many ping pong balls you get, in the bin to be elected. Teams like the Wizards, Brooklyn, Utah, they're going to have the most ping pong balls in there.
Blazers,
Blazers, but the Oklahoma City, they're not going to have any ping pong balls, but they have a protected first round, I think 5th or 6th or all pick, but that's not going to be enough to get Cooper flagged. Welcome to the Nets. You know what I mean? Welcome to Utah Jazz.
If he goes to the Nets, I feel like that'd be a team where I feel like they're gonna build, because think about it, the Brooklyn Nets is a team where they're rebuilding. So if they go into the draft, some of these
30 years though.
Right. Some of these like down teams need to be mindful on who they draft too. So they gotta be be careful with that. So
Man,
but
it's just
but
some
listen, y'all
just
all
like
know that. Y'all all know that all comes down to who got the magnetic in the ball. Because they know who's gonna get it.
right, right. You know,
We know
we want to
who.
see Cooper Flag go.
Yeah, they
You know
know.
what I mean?
They already know where he's going. But it
They
would be
know.
nice from our
Yeah.
perspective if he went to Brooklyn. But only they really know, and that's what's the ball gonna get the magnet.
Wherever that magnet, huh?
yeah,
Hey, for sure. Listen, you hate to be that, but at the end of the day, every move because you have a horse right there. You just want to make sure that you can put that boy potential at the
It's
highest dollar.
business. They got. Hey, listen. You know what these boys? You know why these boys making these signing these contract $200, $300 million, and these are sports. You know, the contract. The TV money. The TV money is where the owners are, because they're getting by these network streaming companies. Billions with a B. Yes, billions.
Hey, you just
so
that's what they're willing to pay you at a small fraction.
Right.
That's a
so
small
they're
fraction
paying
of
that
the
to the
pie what they
owners,
get.
right? And so they're paying that to the owners. So the owners in the NBA or NFL, whatever sport, you have to supply them eyeballs, people watching these games. So they have to have good product out there. So a Cooper Flag, he ain't number one. That's when the league step in, like the NBA made a phone call, not already got him earmarked. We already got this magnet for Brooklyn, and we already told the networks that we gonna have him. So schedule this game, this game, and and so forth.
He is worth millions in marketing. Millions, bro. Millions. Trillions in marketing. So
it's all
whatever
about
he making
the
is a
money.
payout. That's just a payout. Yeah.
It's all about the money, the money,
Yeah. Because just think, he gonna affect so much money, he'll be affecting the money all the way down throughout corporate with all different areas, all the way down to the fucking basketball youth court. McDonald's,
it goes.
The marketing money is so and you're a white boy, so they haven't had that.
And
from America, and from America.
Shit is deeper. That's big, man.
Bread boy. Yeah, straight white boy from America.
That is huge because we all listen to a lot of different sports shows, and whether Stephen A's that get paid millions or guys like us that just love sports. One of the biggest things, and you'll even hear it, it's people are always talking about the last time we had an American that could be marketed out the game, and that's actually good. That actually has game. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is rare,
He ain't doing no.
That's like having a white running back.
He ain't doing no small little DoorDash commercials. That's not what they got planned. And listen, I'll take the DoorDash commercial.
So what you saying? They about to have his face all over the place?
Yeah, he said DoorDash commercial.
Everywhere.
It is.
In the league.
Shout out to DoorDash.
He said, "Shout out to DoorDash."
Shout out to DoorDash. I just used y'all earlier. Shout out. Sponsor the show. Send us something. You know what I mean?
That's when you understand when you have a person and you can put them in and get it into the athletic business. You know what I'm saying? And they've been getting groomed for a long time. They're gonna cash out. They're gonna cash up now. He gonna be on. He might make what's the stereo? He might make the Wheaties box. You know what I'm saying?
Not they gonna bring it back. They gonna bring back the special Wheaties.
Ain't no way. No, bro.
If an athlete got his face on the Wheaties box, that was man. That's all level, right?
Listen,
no,
they're gonna bring back the Wheaties box for this man.
I would not. No, I would not be pleased if I see that happen to a player, though.
No. Listen, bro. That's
Man,
real
listen,
talk.
No,
No.
they
Listen,
finna
hold
put
on.
this man
Listen,
on
let,
everything.
no, listen. Let me just explain this to you. If you can get your face on a cereal box and you can promote health, that's beyond cocaine money.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Every child in the world eats cereal. So you want to be on that because that if you can make that, listen, go Google the athletes who've been on the Wheaties box. Those are high market athletes. But like you said, they haven't done it in a while. But that's like, this is not Fruit Flakes. This
Boy said that's bigger than cocaine money.
cereal money and sugar. Sugar is the highest mineral. I'd rather be the sugar dealer than the coke dealer.
Of course.
Man, all day long. You know what I mean? Hey, sugar is hard to break. Sugar is the most addicting thing. Sugar is more addicting than cocaine. Period. Documented. You know what I mean?
Man. Hey, see, they say, welcome to Basketball Truth and Knowledge. That's real talk.
Welcome to Basketball Truth and Knowledge.
Sugar King. Sugar go to every household in America, and you eat it at every meal. At every meal, every day.
Man,
somebody eating sugar.
Everything. Even shit that say no sugar in it got sugar in
sugar
it. You know what I mean? Got some form of sugar in it. You know what I mean? Shit.
Bro, if you had a sugar refinery, bro, you're getting top dollar. Trust me.
I want the sugar over the poppy field. You know what I mean? Give me the sugar, man.
All day. That's why I said, Hermes, when I tell you that, not because I like Wheaties, you know what I mean? That's healthy, no sugar. It do got a small fiber syrup sugar in it because you have to frost the flakes. So that's a little. It's still got sugar, and they tell you it don't. It's supposed to be wheat, and it still got sugar.
Right.
But no one is less that. So then you get not only all the people in the world who eat sugar 3 times a day, every day, all day. Now you got the healthy people who want to get away from that and say, hey, I don't want the sugar because they know it's an addiction, just like cocaine, an addiction. But now they say, okay, we're going to tap into the market that's supposed to be healthy because the health market is $1 trillion business within its own self, trying to stay away from the sugar, which they just changed the name. Glucose, or I got some something syrup, whatever the hell the case is, they got some sugar in it, and you can promote what the fuck you want to promote because it don't have as much sugar. Because the Lucky Charms and all of that got sugar plus sugar marshmallow drops in it, all sugar for days. Man, kids running around here wired up on cereal in the morning. There's no kid in America no kid in the world that don't like cereal with sugar in it.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? Big money, bro. Big money.
All right. Well, it is 4:56. We're gonna end it off right here. This was an amazing episode. I love it. Amazing episode. I love it.
We getting our picks in. We getting our picks in.
Actually, right now, UConn and Carolina is playing right now. This is the last quarter. UConn is winning.
Shit is on right now.
UConn winning 73-46. UConn is winning.
Blowing it out again.
73-46. UConn is winning against South Carolina.
Page getting that championship. Yeah, man. They blew them out by 30 earlier this season, like a couple months ago.
Wow.
So UConn got their number, man. Whatever it is,
this is the championship run right here. This is the championship run right here. So after this, we will make an episode to whenever the Houston and Florida play. So I want you guys to.
I got Houston.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm not gonna say who until I watch the game, but I got Florida, but it's just I don't know. Houston got that defense, dude. I'm nervous.
Like I said, I picked Florida in my bracket. I picked Florida to win it all in my bracket. and I also
I
picked
like-
them.
I like Florida.
Hey,
I do like
But
Florida.
my
Yeah,
heart,
Florida's nice.
my
bro. It's
heart,
just-
I'm going with the Cougs though. You know what I mean?
I got you on that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's your
respect that.
hometown, so you definitely gonna go
You're
with your
going with the
home.
Cougs. You know,
You gotta rock with them boys, man. You gotta rock with them.
Yeah.
You
But
gotta
you
rock
know,
with
I-
your
I
boys.
want these Cougs.
I like him because I like him two teams for two different reasons. I like Houston because what the coach got out of them is the difference for me picking, because Florida would be my favorite.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? You got a young
Good game,
team.
man.
Yeah, listen, whatever that boy formula is, he win or lose, whoever the coach to come out of that game and it come down to coaching, you got old guard versus new guard. That's what the
Yeah.
real tagline should be about the game. You got the
What I
oldest
said
coach
earlier.
that will win it. If the Houston coach win, he'll be the oldest coach in history to win a trophy, NCAA trophy. And if Florida win, that boy will be the youngest.
Yeah.
So this is like, you know what I mean? This is historical because now, and for me, because of that, I'm going to go with the old school coach because of experience.
Right on.
That's the only difference. That's the only difference. That don't mean he can't get beat. But you know, if you had to play a game in a series, best of 7, at some point it's gonna come down to coaching. So I'm giving him that pull no matter what. Because in the 7-game series, he gonna beat you, and in a 1-game series, I'm still gonna say that, you know, he can make adjustments on the fly, just like he did against Duke.
Right.
You can't get any better than that, bro. Call the right play, the right time. The kids will die for me.
Right.
Every play necessary. So that's
Well,
the
I'm
only
definitely-
reason I picked that.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that game, man, and shoot,
Yeah.
man, and yeah, good episode, fellas.
Yeah, definitely good episode. All right, well, let me go ahead and play this music so I can close this out. All right, guys, if you stay tuned with the live episode today, hope you guys got a quick peek of this amazing episode with my co-host CP and my co-host Ray. We had a phenomenal, conversations about college ball, March Madness. Right now, you got UConn, South Carolina playing right now. UConn's definitely taking the dub, but if you guys want to see us talk about Houston and Florida, catch us on a recording episode, and then we'll get right to that. But then right after that, we'll get right back into the NBA, so we can talk more about that. And then hopefully we'll get ready for the playoffs, so we can make some adjustments for the playoff conversations, and then we'll go from there. But see us next time on. Are you guys good for Monday?
Actually, not this Monday. I have to probably get with you guys next week.
Okay.
But I'm definitely next Sunday.
I can catch you tomorrow on Monday. I'll catch you.
Okay, cool. All right, so me and co-host Ray, we'll be on here tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock's good.
So 1 o'clock, and then CP, I want to see if we can get Michaela Williams on here so that we can kind of speak to her about her performance in the tournament so far and how she feels about it.
Cool.
And what's going to be the next step for her to succeed next year's March Madness tournament or her season going on forward. So
cool, yeah, man. Yeah, I'll give her a call because she's back home too. She's already back home just working out, lifting weights, chilling.
That'd be big for the program, big for the show, big.
Yeah, she's just home chilling right now. She just went home and got to working out with her brother, just chilling.
All right, cool.
I was surprised about that loss, but that's a whole.
It kind of played out. It kind of played out like me and Aramis said. I did say that LSU, the bigger people, was gonna have to show up against UCLA, and if you watch that game, that 6-7, Lauren Betts, she had her way kind of in the middle. So
she did, man.
This and that, but the better teams end up making it through. And other than that, I'll see you guys next week.
All right, man.
All right, Aramis. Peace.
Go Cougs.
Yep. With all being said, this has been Ambassador for Knowledge. I am your co-host Aramis.
I'm Ray.
And then my boy CP. All right, we out of here. Peace, y'all. All right.